Welcome to the Bodybuilding Banter podcast, your number one source of all things bodybuilding. Be sure to like and subscribe to stay up to date on future episodes. Now, here's your host, Leroy Rollins.
All right, people, welcome to the Bodybuilding Banter podcast. I am here as your host, as always. I am here with my man, Jared. Welcome to the podcast, my friend.
Hey, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. Love what you're doing here with not just bodybuilding, but natural bodybuilding and trying to, build a bigger following for yourself and for everyone else involved and trying to, keep this this small, tight-knit community growing. So thanks.
Spread the natural bodybuilding love, right? We're a niche within a niche. All right, dude. Let's start from talk about your current situation right now. The viewers, obviously, that might not follow you, this man's getting very, very close to show day.
Yeah, so I, first off, Jared Petrassi. I live about an hour outside of Manhattan, New York. Went to school up near Rochester, old school Brockport. A Bachelor of Science Kinesiology. Have 2 personal training certifications, NADA and ACE. Small, like I said, they did it through school, so personal training there.
Yep.
Competed there. Did my first show when I was 17 years old. It was the same night of my senior prom. I actually couldn't get a date, so I decided I was going to do my first show. It was an NPC show, NPC Long Island.
Okay.
I didn't know the difference with natural bodybuilding. This is going back 10, 11 years ago. Saw guys backstage. Phil Heath was the guest poser, like crazy.
That's cool.
Got crushed. 1 week later, did the NPC Atlantic States. It's a huge show. Every single guy that won their class there, they all went on to be IFBB pros and compete in Olympia.
Wow.
Super humbling. So now I go to college, take a year off, learn about natural bodybuilding, which is huge in Western New York, as you know. Buffalo, Rochester. There's tons of shows. Did a show there. Came in 3rd in the teen class, 4th in a novice. Learned a little bit more about dieting. Still bro dieted, which was the biggest mistake. And still bro splitted, which was also another big mistake.
Right.
After that, I took 2 years off. Took college more seriously. Ate up, bulked up. Was huge, and did a longer prep my junior year, so it's 2012. So 3rd contest season now. Almost won my pro card twice there. Did 3 shows that year. Came close.
What organization was that?
What's that?
What organization was that?
Oh, so it was the INBF and the NGA at the time.
Okay.
It was the NGA Northeast and Rochester, which is now, I don't know, it's changed a bunch of times. Joe Cristiano show. Very, very smoothly run show. The NGA Can-Am, which is the show I'm going to be doing this year, which is now under the organization NMA, Natural Muscle Association. Jerry Marsala switched out of NGA. Now runs incredibly, incredibly smooth shows. And then it was the Itamasi show in Rochester.
Yep.
Itamasi's great people.
That's the one I did.
It's a smooth run show. Good lighting, great trophies, good goodie bags,
Yep.
T-shirts. Always a good venue, very smooth. They usually, I don't know if they still do it, but the father used to guest pose, or Dan or Paul would guest pose, and
Yep.
I'm not sure that they're still doing. But then I took a year off, and I was going through processing for the New York City Police Academy. So, investigators are going through your background, checking everything. My father was a sergeant in the police department in the city, so obviously my record was good. My mother's a superintendent down here. Good family and no problem. So that went smooth. I was like, you know what? The academy class is going in January of 2014. Let me see if I could sneak a show in. So 16-week prep, all it to fit your macros, and I competed in the fall of 2013. And came in second twice, 2 guys overall, 2 guys that went on to place at WNBF Worlds that year. So I did the only logical thing you could do, and I gained 30 pounds after the show, ate my emotions, and then joined the police academy. January, I went into police academy, commuted an hour every single day into Manhattan, which I still do.
Wow.
And at the end of 6 months of that, I was a police officer, and they threw me in the middle of Harlem. I don't know how many viewers know anything about Harlem. It's a crazy time, still is. There for 2 years, got transferred to Upper West Manhattan, which is super nice. A place you might have heard of, Beacon Theater, Lincoln Center, Central Park. Tons of good places to eat, tons of good gyms. While I was there, I studied for a sergeant exam. Usually about 10,000 people take this test. It's the next rank after police officer. Usually has a very, very small passing rate, less than 20%.
Oh, wow.
I scored pretty high. Got promoted right at 5 years. I was the youngest sergeant in the police department out of 5,000 sergeants. I'm not sure if anyone's younger than me now, maybe. That was a year ago, so. And in that time, I also bought a house with my wife. I got married in those 5 years of being a cop. And back in October 2019, October 11th, we had our son, Benjamin, and so he's 4.5 months old. So I took 6 weeks off, basically, and I started dieting, which was really weird, crazy times. Let me just tighten up a little bit before the holidays.
Yeah.
And things started going very well. And November 1st, I spoke to a couple of my buddies and compete or have personal training businesses or whatever, coach people. And I was like, you think I should do this? They're like, is your wife going to be okay with it? I was like, I don't know. Let's not tell her till after the holidays. So I started tracking my macros. Thanksgiving, tracked them. Christmas, tracked them.
Yep.
January 5th, had a huge birthday party for her down here for her 30th birthday. Tracked again. And January 6th, I told her, I was like, hey, when are we competing? She's like, you crazy? We have like a 2-month-old baby. And my advice to you, anyone who's listening to this, is from me, and then we can get into your questions because it's way more than enough of an intro, is that having a profession where you have to really rely on the person that you're next to, and it's super unpredictable. Some days you work a 9-hour day, it's scheduled, but some days it turns into a 15-hour day, whether you're doing cops that get in a department vehicle collision, or they wrestled with somebody that started a fight with them and you're doing line of duty paperwork, or, there's a couple nights ago we had a pressure cooker bomb we found, and I had to, not that I was doing anything with it, but you had to call all the units and we had to go through the processes if it was a real bomb. But you take the stresses and unpredictability of my work, and then you take having a 4-month-old kid. I do not have time to sit around and think about being hungry, being tired, and it's been my busiest prep, and it has been by far and beyond my smoothest prep. So anyone who's listening, anyone that's young, my best advice is if you're in college, take college seriously. If you can compete on the side, do it. If not, that education, those 4 years, it's too expensive to blow it away for bodybuilding.
Yep.
And the same thing with career. There are a lot of guys who want to be prep coaches. There's a lot of people that fail at being prep coaches because, like we just said, it's an oversaturated field. So if there's some other type of career, whether it's a civil service career like I chose, that you could be financially stable, that you can make decent money, and still bodybuild on the side, highly suggested. Fireman, cop, teacher. My wife's a teacher. All that time off, man. You could definitely be a bodybuilder and be a teacher. So that's where I'll leave that.
Yeah, I agree with what you said about kind of keeping busy and almost being distracted when you're on prep, right? Like you have your time when you're at the gym or when you're prepping food, but then you have all this spare time if you're not busy to basically just think about all the shit you're missing out on. And then if you're busy like yourself, you're working, you're commuting, you're working, you're paperwork, all this stuff. You don't have time to think about cake.
Yeah. I don't know how people, I look back and I'm like, when I was in college, I'm like sitting in class and I'm supposed to be listening to like these chemistry lectures and I'm here writing down, oh yeah, I think I'm going to superset incline flies and chest press. How stupid. How stupid,
Yeah. Oh yeah, we've all done our fair share of silly things for sure.
I think if you haven't, you're not passionate enough about this, and that might sound silly, but I really believe that if you haven't been obsessive to that point where you're thinking about it for nonstop, at some point you weren't in this enough.
Yeah, and like I know when I was younger, it was like over analyzing and micromanaging everything, right? Like what's the perfect sets and reps, and what's the perfect time to like eat this food and have my post-workout meal, and okay, if I'm going to train at 4, should I eat at 3? Should I eat at 2:30? Like there's so many little things that just take up your brain, right?
Dude, and you know what? When it comes down to it, that just creates a rise in cortisol. just unnecessary. We're natural bodybuilders. It really doesn't make that big of a difference. It's not. We're not taking insulin, and you need to worry about these. Dude, I remember when Hanny Rambod came out with like his FST7, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do like 15 reps, 7 sets, whatever. And then I ended up finding out that was just because of guys who were taking insulin and they need to push the carbs around. Like, irrelevant to us.
I remember in I don't know what magazine it was, because that's where I got most of my information when I was a teenager. It was in magazines, and it was Myostatin Inhibitors were big. That came out, and I was like, that's it. That's how I'm going to get huge. That's the ticket. And no.
Yeah, listen, I put up a post a couple months back, and it was a Muscle Tech ad for, like, they had products called Aplodan, Anator, Anabolic Halo, and like when you look at it, the claims were so crazy. I had guys like in freezers, and it chilled your muscles and all this nonsense, and it was just creatine and simple carbs. And we all felt guilty to purchasing these $70 creatine sugar products. Like, just what geniuses they were.
Yeah, for sure. So let's go through this prep and dissect it. So when did you officially start, and what was the first 6 weeks like?
Okay, yeah. I spoke about this with Connor St. Jean actually, and Brandon Wattis, do a podcast as well that I'm gonna try to get on. So like I said, November 1st, I started tracking my macros. I had not tracked my macros, I'm not kidding, since my last prep. I ate very intuitively.
Yep.
And my off season, not much bro dieting, but I'll give you the 2 weeks before I started prepping, just so some people could have an idea of how to sort of transition from maybe not tracking or whatever. So I'd wake up every single morning. I'd have 2 bagels. I'm from New York, man. We got the best bagels, plain and simple. Do that, about 6 egg whites, 2 whole eggs, and then some random amount of low-fat cheese and ketchup. So now that I track macros, I have an idea that's probably 45 grams of protein, 120 grams of carbs, and maybe 15 grams of fat. So that was meal 1. Meal 2 would usually be after the gym. I'd have 4 Chobani or light and fit Greek yogurts. So that's 320 to 400 calories, for 50 grams of protein, 60 grams of carbs. And my next meal would be 2 mission wraps, so those are 210 calories each, about 35 grams of carbs, with 8 ounces of chicken in each one, a pound of chicken. So now we're looking at another 70 carbs, pound of chicken. And then my next meal, and this is just the day that I'm not at work, would be literally Wegmans 95.5 ground beef made into 2 burgers on 2 sesame seed buns, and maybe half a bag of Alexia 98% fat-free French fries. Then my last meal of the night would be some type of Perry's, or I don't know what type of ice cream you guys have up there. Perry's, Turkey Hill, something light. 3 servings, 2 waffle bowls. And then once that was done, I have 100 grams of oats, a scoop of isolate, and 40 grams of peanut butter with an undisclosed amount of blueberries. So I was probably eating 45 calories a day.
I was going to say, that's a lot of food.
And I started my prep at 200 pounds with abs, veins in my arms. Not much going on in my legs, but like in the gym, I could wear a sleeveless shirt, and you might be like, oh, maybe he competes. November 1st, flipped the switch, started tracking macros, had no idea where to start, just started at 3,000 calories, random. I think it was like a 30-20 type of.
Yep.
Yeah, and I was like something like that, 35, 20, whatever it is. And then slowly the first 6 weeks, just, was stepping on the scale every day for the first time in years, tracking everything. I know some people out there, maybe if you have any NPC listeners or beginner listeners, yes, you track vegetables, and yes, that adds up to your carbs, and your carbs dwindle away very quick when you're 4 weeks out, like today.
Yeah.
Even if it is 4 servings of broccoli versus cauliflower, you're like, you know what? I'm going to eat cauliflower because it's going to save me, 7, 8 carbs throughout the whole bag.
Yeah.
So first 6 weeks, smooth. Like I said, I was sort of just tapering down 50, 100 calories, very, very small. I started with 5 minutes of stepper post-workout. Next week was 7. Next week was 9. Next week was 12. Next week was 14. Next week was 16. From 3 days a week, and then I think by week 3, I added in a 4th day.
Yep.
Now I'm up to 5 days, and actually 6th day started last week. So first 6 weeks, like I said, and you could probably agree with this, it's not going to feel like prep, and you're going to want to do more. You're going to want to cut more out.
Yep.
You're going to want to do more in the gym. You have to avoid doing those drop sets, and for me anyway, and stick to the plan, plain and simple. So that was the first 6 weeks, just very, very small progression of decreasing some food. So I went from like 3,000 calories to 2,500 calories. So a 500 calorie drop in 6 weeks. And cardio went from 5 minutes to 16 minutes. So really nothing drastic.
Yeah.
I think I lost 8 pounds. I have a pretty quick metabolism, so it was going pretty quick.
Nice.
That's the first weeks.
Sweet. So where's everything at now? So you just mentioned, what, 4 weeks out?
So I am a month out, 4 weeks out, whatever, from doing the NMA Can-Am. I would say I could send, I haven't been sending a ton of pictures or posting a ton of stuff, and it's not because I'm scared. It's because every time I've done this in the past, I feel like I put pictures up, and then there's someone else that's watching, and they're judging how hard they're pushing themselves, which is fine. So now I'm 4 weeks out. I feel like I look presentable. I'll start putting a little more up. I am at 1,880 calories, which sucks because, as I told you, that was my off-season diet for 6 years. So just eating all that food, and this is very tough. So I have to do something which I don't know if most people do. I save most of my food for before bed. Otherwise, I cannot sleep. I wake up with hunger pains. I don't know if anyone goes through this. And if you haven't woken up with hunger pains, I don't think you've been lean enough for a bodybuilding show yet.
Yeah.
So I just started introducing Miracle Rice. You ever use that?
No.
Like the shirataki. So it has it's a bag of this gooey, gummy rice or noodles. You can look it up, Miracle Rice. Dude, you're gonna want it. It's like a good volume adder.
Okay.
It's like 15 calories in the bag from fiber, and I've been using that at night with blueberries, a half a serving of oats, a scoop of whey, and a tablespoon of peanut butter, and it's like 50 carbs. My meal is 50 carbs, like 25 fat, and like 30 protein right before bed. And without that, I cannot sleep. I just wake up middle of the night hungry. So you have to do what you have. So typical day eating now at 4 weeks out is I wake up, I try to unintentionally fast for like an hour or two, just so I'm not starving by noon.
I try to fast till 9.
What's that?
I try to fast until 9.
Oh man, I wish. It depends days versus non-work days for me because I work from 2:50 to 11:50 at night. I drive home. I get home around midnight, 12:50. I go to bed around 1:30, and then I'm usually up at 7:30. So most sleep I can get is usually 6 with the baby.
Fuck.
Like I said, my wife's a teacher, so if my mother-in-law isn't around, who lives they live not far from where you're doing your show. They live in Oneida, which is like 20 minutes from Utica.
Oh, okay.
So I think your show's in Utica. And by the way, there's 2 sick gyms in Utica when you're down there. Anyone listening? Body Alive Fitness and Upstate Empire Fitness. I think the people hosting your show.
Okay.
2 sick gyms if you're down there, or if you're staying a day after.
Yeah.
Highly, highly suggested. And if I'm around or free or up in the area, because I do still go up to my wife's area, we could crush it after your show. So
let's do it.
So we'll see. I'm about 3 hours from there.
Okay. Me too.
But anyway, back to okay, yeah. So back to real quick. So now I wake up. I do 6 egg whites, 1 whole egg, lots of veggies in the morning. Usually a serving of mushrooms, peppers, and onions. The Thomas's whole grain English muffin. That's my first meal. And then my next meal is usually 2 Greek yogurts post workout. The Dannon Light and Fit. There's huge variety. I suggest those to people in their off season or prepping. It just sort of hits that sweet spot that you need. And 80 calories. It's worth the sacrifice for that. My next 2 meals are 4 servings of cauliflower, 7 ounces of chicken twice, and then right before bed I have that late snack.
Yeah.
This week, last week, however, I got stuck with 2 doubles at work. I didn't know I was going to get them, so that means I start work at 1 o'clock and I work till 7 a.m. So I'm very unsure how to track macros through a 24-hour period. And it's very easy for a coach to tell you how to do it until it's 3 o'clock in the morning and you're driving around in a police car and you're starving.
Yeah.
So I just had 3 Quest bars split up every 2 hours, and it helped me hit my exact goals. I had a little hard time digesting it because that type of fiber is not like the best, but you got to do with what you have. So anybody that's like maybe in pharmacy, nursing, or in their residency right now that's listening to this, that would be my suggestion if you're going to work a 24-hour tour. Some type of Quest bar every 2 hours, and maybe like a pack of gum, because like I said, if anyone's listening, that's, the 24-hour tracking makes it very difficult, and you just don't want to think about stress out. So rather than raising your cortisol, raising your stress, and just obsessing over it, 3 Quest bars, 3 1 bars, whatever you want to call them.
Yep.
The high fiber bars, pack of gum, and move on with your day, because it really doesn't make that big of a difference. It's not worth stressing.
It's interesting, like listening to you with your job and how different it is from other people I've talked to. Like, you have so many other things to like think about. You know what I mean? That stresses me out.
It's just a lot of unpredictable. And at this point, I don't know how it is in Canada, but 100% in New York City, it's super, super anti right now, which is just crazy to me, because I grew up in a law enforcement family, and where I live an hour outside the city, we have no crime at all. That's part of the reason I chose to move back here,
right,
and buy a house. But it's just very unpredictable. Summers are fun. There's a lot of like cool parades if people are ever come down. There's a parade for everything. St. Patrick's Day, Dominican Day parade. There's the Greek parade, and they're super, super fun to watch. But the thing is, if you're used to your routine of working, let's say like at 3 o'clock to midnight, that might be a Friday night, Saturday night. They're like, guess what? You're working the parade. It starts at 5 a.m. The parade, the day starts at 5. The parade starts at 10. You'll be done at 2. Like, man, I'm not going to get much sleep. How am I going to get my meals in?
Yeah.
And that's where tracking macros is really good for the average person that's not competing, because you still hit your goals and you just move on. So, I think that anyone who's not tracking their macros right now there's just whether you're trying to lose weight or gain weight, and then once you get to the point where you know what you're eating, I think you can be more intuitive, like in an off season. But if you're trying to lose weight, in my opinion, it's the only way. And if you're not, I tell people, if you're really too lazy or don't want to learn, don't want to educate yourself, I think Weight Watchers is the only way to go, because they give food values. They give them that point system, which is probably the most similar to tracking macros.
Yeah, it's interesting, like, and it's so accessible, right? Like, every single one of us can track on our phones, right? When I did I competed in 2015, and I did my first 2 shows by myself, and I just tracked macros, and like, you have that flexibility, and I didn't know right or wrong. I just tracked religiously and slowly, like you mentioned at the beginning, slowly pulled things out as the weeks went on. If my weight stalled, pull it out, keep going, and it's not complicated, and it's not hard, and it's so accessible.
Everyone and that's why I make some posts that I repost some of these people that's what I like to do, is when people talk about eating at night, or they put the comparison between like a McDonald's grilled chicken sandwich and something, and then like McDonald's salad, because people just literally have no idea. They think they're getting a salad from McDonald's, it's this much better. Or, dude, I can't even tell you on my refeed days when I put up a picture of me eating bagels, how many people are like, oh, you must have the best genetics in the world. How are you eating a bagel on prep? I'm like, A, it's called carb cycling. B, if you are doing a refeed day or know anything about it, you need something that's high carb, low fat. And B, it doesn't matter if you're in your off season or not, you could eat a bagel. Like, that's better than having, like, I don't even like to use the word better, because there is no better food. You hit your freaking goals, and that's it. Like, just move on. I don't know why it's so complicated. So,
and people,
there's so much information.
Yeah, and people like set themselves up to like screw it up, right? Like, if you're gonna have one bagel and you're cool, then you're good. But people are like, oh, I'll have like, if I have one bagel, I might as well just say fuck it and ruin my day. And it's like, no, you're missing the point.
Yeah, no, well, that's it. I put up a post the other day that I saw someone talk about, and it said, like, if you go off your diet for one day, it was like relating it to a job. Like, if you're at your job and you don't do your work for that one day, you had a bad day, you just wake up the next day and you move on. You don't get fired from your job. You don't just quit your job. It's the same with diet. One bad day, even in the deepest of a contest prep, even 3 days out from a show, if you decide, oh shit, I'm gonna binge eat. I'm supposed to carb up on 500 carbs. I got crazy. Had a whole box of cereal, whatever. It's not gonna ruin you. It's not.
No, exactly.
And I actually want to talk about that real quick. My refeed days, I'm very flat most of my prep, and I'd rather. And I spoke about this with Brett Freeman, who you've had on, and Brett's a friend of mine. There's the time in prep where you're gonna have to dig, and you're just gonna be super, super flat. And it's for me. It's just trying to bring that last bit of detail into my glutes because I think everywhere else I'm just about ready. So I'm digging. I'm up to 35, 40 minutes of cardio, and my carbs are pretty low. So my refeed day the other day, 750 carbs. And guess what? I still couldn't fill out. I did not spill over.
Wow.
The next day I was up 1 pound, which some people lose weight after a refeed, but I just think the amount of pure food and not going to the bathroom yet, I just think it was just, in me. But, so we were talking about the bagels and, doing more than one. I had 6 bagels the other day. I could not fill out. So
that's crazy.
It's good to learn those things, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's different for me. And, as you get deeper into your prep, you'll learn the same thing. So how far you could push a refeed, because I think some people get a little scared with it, or they get out of control. And some people might say, I was out of control, but like I said, I'm not filling out. So just keep going.
Yeah, like when I'm the Friday night is a usually very ambitious carb up, you could say. And then even up here, we have judging in the morning and then finals in the afternoon. So you have 4 hours, 5 hours in between. And I freaking carb up again. It's awesome.
Well, shows I'm doing this year, the NMA show, 4 weeks, that's a good one. And they do a pre-judging at a night. And then the next round of shows I'm doing are going to be Kent Beerley through the ANBF. He does his shows all over. They're smaller federations. This season, I particularly picked out smaller shows because it's been a 6.5-year layoff. Mm-hmm. And I want to see where I stand, how my physique looks. And there's pretty much no one that could convince me to do any other shows right now at this point. I'm picking the NMA, the ANBF, and the INBA. And May 9th is the end, hopefully, which would be pro show if I took pro.
Nice.
And that's the end, because I got to get back to work and being a dad, and that's more important.
Yep.
But the ANBF, which is great, which I'm getting off topic, is straight through format. And if you've ever done a straight through format show, I don't know why anyone doesn't do that anymore. It's so smooth. There's pre-judging, maybe 20-minute intermission, fix your tan, whatever, and boom. And the way he does it is sort of crazy. From the ones I've been to, is everyone gets a number. So say you check in 1, a bikini girl checks in 2, a figure girl checks in 3, and a physique guy checks in 4. Your routines just go in that order. It's not like we're trying to organize bodybuilders. It's just like competitor 1, competitor 2.
Oh, interesting.
And it's sort of funky and all over the place, but it gets things done very quickly, which anyone who's ever competed knows. We've all been to those shows that it's 10:30 at night and they're still giving out Masters, Novice, over 50 women's bikini trophies. Yeah. And not to take away from that. That's just So, but you know what? I think too, and I was talking about this with Brett, at some point, if you can't carb up, or you don't have enough time to carb up, or you think maybe you get bloated from carving up, sometimes it is better to get on stage flat and shredded to the bone than over. So I don't know if you've been at the point where you've done either or you felt one look was better for you.
I know when I did the IMBF, that was my best look, and we did a pretty heavy Friday night, and then Saturday morning, because it was a straight through show, just like you said. So that was my first time ever doing that. So I think Friday night we were really ambitious with carbing up. And then Saturday morning was... What's that?
What were you eating?
Oh,
what were you eating?
5 Guys, burger and fries, extra fries. I had a shit ton, probably 6 or 7 chocolate chip cookies. And then I went and posed in half an hour to shuttle it around, and I looked unreal. And then the Saturday morning... did some posing again, was really happy, so we just kind of kept it. So it was a couple rice cakes and jam, maybe some peanut butter. Might have did that twice.
I gotta make a shirt anti-rice cake. I always say when I've been at a show, I always feel like if there's 10 competitors sitting in a room and you take out a rice cake, I'm gonna take out a rice cake. The other idiot next to me is gonna. It's like contagious. Like when somebody sneezes.
Yeah, for real.
Right? Like think about it, and it's usually the guys backstage. And I'm not knocking you. I'm just saying. It's like the guys who don't need to carb up like that. You're not lean enough to notice, and they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna make a triple decker with peanut butter and chocolate syrup and all this other shit."
No, and that's why, like.
Oh, so you did a junk food carb? That's ballsy, man. I've never done that.
I've always done it, so you know it works.
Oh, okay.
I might.
That's the thing I'm scared about.
The only thing I know I did differently this year was that I took some Gatorade with some salt before I went out, and that friggin' vasculared the shit out of me. And I was ready, so we tried it, and it worked. So
the only thing I ever liked, and I think I might try this go around, that I remember seeing at any NPC show I've ever been to, is I usually see guys eating like Pringles or like Lay's chips, and if you think about it, it's like a good thing because it has that fat. It's gonna be super salty, and you can eat a decent. And it's not going to bloat you because it's airy. So I haven't had I'm not even a potato chip person or I like chips and salsa. So maybe I'll be doing that backstage and I'll reinvent the wheel. Who knows?
Yeah, switch it up. I did some salt and vinegar chips one show. That was cool.
Yeah, like I said, it makes sense when it's not going to bloat you, and it's just like I said, salt, simple carbs,
Yeah.
So, well, that's good. I was going to say I had something else I want to touch on. Training. I get humble brag right here. Thank you. It's just really being a good deadlifter, and I see a lot of people now, and maybe you can tell me because you're obviously in a different circle. You have more people following you than me, and probably interacting with you on a daily basis. I feel like a lot of people are very concerned with their ratings, perceived exertion, and I think it's really good. It's a good way to measure your strength curve and your progression. But I also think there's a time and place, and when you're prepping, to have those balls to the wall sets, and I've been super fond of them. And so that's one part of it. And the other part is I've seen a lot of people say deadlifts aren't necessary or squats aren't necessary to building a physique. For me, this prep, I have not been squatting a lot because I've come to the point with wearing a gun belt at work and commuting 2 hours a day. My hips are very tight. I can either choose to squat or deadlift. I cannot do both.
Yeah.
It's not. I hate using the word can't, but my hips just can't handle it. I'm not that old. I'm 28. So I like to deadlift, as my videos have shown, and I like to do these balls to wall sets. I do not think deadlifting in a sumo stance. I don't take away from sumo guys because I was there. It helped me build my strength. But I think pulling conventional in the 8+ rep range, if you start getting into 8 to 10 to 12 to 14 reps, I don't see anything giving you a better bang for your buck, whether you're in your off season or your contest prep. You're feeling it in your core, your lats, your traps, your rhomboids, obviously your lumbars, your hamstrings, your glutes. So for me, that's been my bread and butter, all prep, high rep deadlifts. Anyone who wants to, that's listening, wants to follow me, Jared 114, I'm sure you're going to post this. I have videos 5 weeks out deadlifting 515 for 12 reps at 175 pounds. In my off season, when I first started, 585 for a set of 8 conventional. And these aren't like touch and go reps. Some of them are with deadlift bars, some aren't. But with the not squatting, what I do is, I don't know how much you do it. I love lunging. I think it's one of the hardest exercises. I don't care if it's with a barbell. I did them a couple weeks with a safety bar squat. Lunges, I don't care if you're doing the beginning, the middle, the end. It just stretches your hips. For me, I feel it right in that glute tie-in. So for training and a contest prep, in my opinion, deadlifts and lunges are your money, my money go-to. Considering you have really good legs, so maybe squats work for you. I don't have good core. I'd say my best strength is I don't have any strength. I'm just average all over. So
it's
for anyone listening,
I think especially just from what I observe in my, like you said, in my circle up here, and it's unfortunate that natural bodybuilding in Canada is not big. It's really shitty, actually. I'm kind of a minority, but the common thing I see is like people are just like soft in the gym, straight up. People don't like to do your deadlifts and your squats and your lunges with heavy ass dumbbells till you puke. Like people just don't like that shit, and that's a lot of the reason why I train alone is because like I just am not saying that I'm the hardest trainer on the planet, because that is definitely not what I'm trying to say, but there's like a certain level of intensity and focus that like people just don't seem to have, and it sucks because their physiques reflect that.
The area that I live in, it's in Orange County, New York. There are like almost no competitors, whether it's NPC or natural, and the gym scene in Orange County is just horrible. There's Planet Fitnesses, a Retro Fitness where I used to train, which was decent, closed down. There's a very bad Gold's, and then there's a couple other good gyms 35 minutes away, but I try to train at a gym that's closer on my way into work, so I don't have to go the opposite way. I've already got a 50-mile drive. And the gym I train at is in a guy's old horse stable, and at least once a year, it gets sprayed by a skunk. And right now, it got sprayed by a skunk, and it stinks in there. And so you're training in a gym that smells like a skunk, but it has good equipment. And it doesn't have heat. So I go into the gym, and once you start getting lean, you're always cold. Sweatpants, the Nike compression leggings, the Under Armour turtleneck, the winter hat. If I could lift with winter gloves, I would. But yeah, I agree. No one wants to train hardcore, and like you said, I'm not the strongest person. I'm a good deadlifter, and I think I train smart. It's intuitive. I've had a lot of people, since they know I've been dieting, a lot of guys at work, "Oh, Sarge, what do you do? What do you do? What do you do?" And I'm like, you can have everything written down, and you can say Monday, Tuesday, this. But the second we get a prisoner that goes crazy and we got to tase him, or we got to bring him to the hospital, or whatever the case is, my night just got a lot longer. Maybe the next morning I'm not working out, or maybe I get home from work and my baby's not sleeping good. So, as much as you want to have things auto-regulated, and two people who I very much look up to who regulate the hell out of everything are Jeff Alberts and Alberto Nunez.
Yes.
But their schedule also, and their career, which they paved the way for natural bodybuilding coaches, allows them to have every set, rep, weight scheme worked out. I'm not saying I couldn't do that, but it's definitely a little bit more difficult with my job versus the prep coach. And that's what I chose. So I'm not saying one's right, one's wrong, one's harder, one's easier. That's what they chose, and that's how they pay their bills, and they educate a ton of people. But not every prep coach can do it full time. And, I don't think Alberto has any kids, and that's just his choice. This is not a knock on him. I just spoke to Alberto 4 days ago on Instagram via voice message back to back, and I don't know how we just connected now, but we did it. What a gentleman!
Yeah,
and
he's
to
a great
get
guy.
that so timely, and he's such a big name in the sport, to be so humble and just knowledgeable and good. But at the same time, I think he'll be the first person to tell you, with his programming and everything, that powerlifting keeps pulling him back in. And like Lane Norton obviously got completely sucked in by powerlifting, and they've had a lot of injuries. Yep. So I don't think you necessarily have to powerlift to be a good natural bodybuilder. I think a lot of us, I saw Connor St. Jean do an interview with Brian Miner the other day, who's a beast of a bodybuilder powerlifter, that he does it just to have the off-season goals, to have some type of goal, because we're goal-oriented people.
Yep.
And, it just scares me sometimes, powerlifting, because people get obsessed with it, just like bodybuilding.
Yeah.
And maybe they forego your physique goals while chasing
numbers.
The weight. I think they sort of go hand in hand a little bit, but not 100%. So
yeah.
But I think you need, with training, you need to sort of regulate it based off your lifestyle. Brett Freeman, I know he talked about working at a catering hall, walking 20,000 steps a day, and then going to the gym at 2 a.m. and with zero body fat. Like, that's insane.
Yeah, no, for sure. All right, man, just to kind of wrap this up. So what is the goal this year? Kind of what's your goal within bodybuilding? What are you hoping to accomplish?
My main goal is to best physique, which is super, everyone likes to say. But I want to prove that you could do it by having a real job, a family, a wife, kids, bills, not living at home. Again, I've said it a million times, I'm not knocking anyone who does any of that, who's in our age group. Everyone's life takes place and changes at different times. But I am a pretty young guy to have a kid, a house, and a pretty successful police career. So I'd like to inspire some law enforcement for sure, and then some other people who maybe just aren't in the fitness world as a career. Maybe it's you work IT, maybe you plumber, maybe you do this, that, or the other. But to be able to compete competitively and do well with a family and be successful in bodybuilding. Stage goals, I would love to win a pro card in 3 different federations, the NMA, the ANBF, and then the last show I'm doing is the INBA down here in Jersey, which does the Natural Mr. Olympia. Some people might say that's the biggest covered organization because they have a huge following worldwide. So win 3 pro cards and then finish the season off in May with a pro show, and God willing, win that pro show and win all my entry fees back. That'd be the ultimate goal. But really, my goal is to hopefully gain a little bit of a following, just prove to some people whether, like I said, and what I said with Birdo was, if you remember when we were younger in school, there's like the Venn diagrams where it's like the 3 circles interlocking.
Yep.
He said you hit a lot of those for a lot of people because there's a lot of bodybuilders that don't have families. There's a lot of bodybuilders that are not cops or in law enforcement. You connected those, and then you threw in natural bodybuilding, like you first said when we started this, is a niche and a niche. So it's 3 circles that are mixing. A lot of people don't do. So I wish just some more people would just see. You shouldn't. The information Joey Swole or like that little juiced out 17-year-old that has 2 million followers, whatever his name is. Like, yeah, he looks sick, but like the normal people, like you, me, Berto, these are the people, and it just happens to be that we're natural. We don't have the best genetics in the world. We're not using the drugs. There's no gimmicks here. There's no cheating. The average person shouldn't look at us and say, oh, well, he's a prep coach in Canada and he's leg pressing 18 plates for 20 reps. I could never do that. They should be saying, oh my God, how could I get to 4 plates for 20 reps? And maybe pay this guy for his knowledge, and so he can help me. So that's what I think. I'd like to just inspire and hopefully help some people that are unsure if maybe they should be a cop and they want to bodybuild, or maybe some people that are cops that are unsure if they want to have family because it's very tough with the overtime and that schedule. So I'm just trying to check off as many boxes as I can that aren't common in our field. And I'm hoping some more people like you just give me a little airtime to reiterate this long-winded message that I had. And I really, really appreciate it. And I want you to keep on doing this with as many people as you can. And if I find anyone I think is interesting, I'm sending them your way because you're one of the few guys doing this. And, you deserve to be at the forefront of this movement. I really believe that. So,
I appreciate that, man. No, and I echo everything you said, right? Because, natural bodybuilding especially, we're just dudes that love to lift at the end of the day, and we all have our different message and our different story, different journey, and no, man, kudos to you for looking at yourself and being like, man, I got something I can give to somebody somewhere. Someone's gonna see this and be a cop or be in police academy or whatever and be like, sweet, this guy did it. Sure.
And some people too, and like I said, everyone has families at different times because it's based off your spouse. If you can have kids, whatever the case is, it's been that it has helped me because until you have a kid, and everyone used to tell me this, it makes you so happy. It's stressful, but it makes you happy, and it's made this prep that much easier. And don't be afraid. I don't think there's ever a right time, whether it's financially, emotionally, physically, whatever, to have a kid. Just make sure you and your significant other are ready, and it changes your life for the better, and you can still bodybuild and be a dad. I promise you that, and it will make your journey easier. So that's my suggestion.
That's awesome, man. All right, dude, plug the Instagram. Where can all the people find you?
Jared 0114, so that's Jared 0114. Like I said, if you're into crazy deadlifting videos or if you're getting ready to see some shredded glutes, they're here. So cool. 4 more weeks, and like I said, man, I really appreciate you fitting this around my schedule. So I'm actually gonna go. I can hear my baby with my mother-in-law downstairs. So
right
on. That's that. But thanks a lot, man, again, and keep on doing what you're doing. It's good stuff.
All right, man. Thanks again. Thank you all for watching. Be sure to give this guy a follow. His Instagram will be linked in the description below. I know I'll be keeping an eye on him. So thanks again, buddy. You have a great rest of your day.
All right, man. I'll talk to you a little later.
Bye.